All right, as some of you are coming in, welcome to this week's edition of our bi-weekly webinar, where we bring up what you should be paying attention to, give you some perspective, offer you some tips and some ideas of things you should possibly pay attention to and take a look at. But during your summer wonderful break here, of course, in Wisconsin, we've had rain every 2 or 3 days. You get a nice 2-inch rain overnight and don't even expect it, which is crazy. And then you've got other places like apparently Indiana, where there's not been rain for weeks and weeks and weeks. So it's a crazy weather forecast here, but that's it. That's it for today. We'll talk to you later. Have a great week. I'm just messing with you. But today, I want to go big and begin a gratitude. On Thursday, our oldest daughter, Isabel, which many of you may have seen or know, we took her to Iowa City for orientation for University of Iowa and met 1,000 of our closest incoming freshman friends and their families, and got to spend a full day down there, 8 or 9 hours, learning about what college life will be. Also then got to see my mom and Deb's parents. So we had a wonderful time. I go big at spending time with family and then taking my oldest to see where she's going to live in, I guess, in approximately 7 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks. So very exciting. Ken, how about yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Great to be here on the webinar with everybody. And wow, what a big change for you and your family coming up here with one of your daughters going to college. That's pretty. I never thought that would happen. I guess they do grow up, apparently, so absolutely. But mine is for the supper clubs. My favorite thing my dad loves to do is go to supper clubs. And some of you share that same liking as well. I've heard from many of you about supper clubs. And so I got a chance to spend some time with my father, and he took the grandkids to their first supper club, which was Schwartz's out in St. Anne's, which is just outside of Elkhart Lake, just past Road America. So I bet some of you have been there before. If you have, I'd love to hear about it because it's a fun place to go, and the steak is really, 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 really good. So, so I'm grateful for the time we got to share together.
Thank you, Ken. Awesome. How about Zach?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I'm grateful for the opportunity to get a chance to play golf with my dad last weekend to fundraise for my alma mater, Ripon College athletic program. So they built all new beautiful facilities for the sports program right after I left. So it's about right, but I got to come up with the funds for it. So it's great. But golf was the first sport that my dad taught me, so it's always special to get out and to play together. So very grateful for that opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you very much. How about Mike?
Chris, grateful that I get to spend a little bit of time with my brother a little later today. He's getting married in September this year, and he's asked me to be his best man, and we're gonna go get a suit fitted for him. So that's out of his comfort zone for sure. A little bit more in mine. So looking forward to helping him out with that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How about Michael Versbach?
Thanks, Chris. Mine today is actually, I'm just grateful for new connections, whether that be in my work life or personal life. Last week, I had met a dog trainer who shared her story with me about how she got into the business. And she shared some incredible stories about what dogs are able to do for humans, whether that be veterans or people dealing with physical or mental health issues. And it was just mind-blowing to me. And I don't want to take up the whole webinar, so I'll just pause there for now.
Thank you. Appreciate it. How about let's go Angie. Angie.
Thanks, Chris. So as your Isabel starts college, my Isabella wrapped up college. So I am grateful that I was able to put her through college. She graduated from DePaul University with a degree in psychology and criminology. She is taking a year off and then she will go back for her master's. So I am just grateful that journey is over. She is starting her new adult journey now, but it's just amazing to watch what they do as adults. And yes, Ken, they do grow up and it happens fast. So I'm grateful for that.
Yes and yes. How about Ashley? Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I am grateful for community. This past weekend, Cedarburg held Strawberry Fest on both Saturday and Sunday. And it was just great to connect with people from the community, get to know some people, see so many people walking around and patronizing all of these small businesses that are in Cedarburg, and as well as seeing a bunch of clients as well as other friends. So just grateful for our community and the things that it offers.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So today, just coming through summer, it's kind of interesting to see the time frame that we're in now. when you look at summer, it's very quick in many of the states up here in the north. It seems to be, July is just in front of us here this next coming weekend. And we're busy with awful lot of things. I think sometimes we stop paying attention to what's going on during this kind of time, especially when markets are at all-time highs. So you're starting to see some great companies. There's 7 that are really driving most of the earnings for the markets. And we sometimes take for granted the fact that all the little things that are going on outside, like there's a big shutdown in fuel in Europe right now. They're worried that they're going to shut it down for more than 10 days because the gas pipeline coming from Russia, which fuels a lot of Europe, is really their winter fuel supply. Now, do you really need to pay attention to that? The answer is no. Is it a concern? It's a small economic indicator? Possibly. So there's a thing called MELT: money, energy, labor, and time. And when technology, I'm sorry, when any country has a disruption in that, they have a really tough economic time. The US is actually set up very well in those MELT, M-E-L-T categories. A great book that's been written out there called The End of the World is Just the Beginning. Don't read it. It's very long, arduous. Basically, there's a summary if you want it, we can probably give to you. But it's a great book looking at those kind of items. And when these things occur, it just reminds me of those as well. Some of the ideas too about inflation and people not getting the right interest rate numbers. There's a lot of concerns going on. You're finding one company that makes semiconductors here has really, really been important lately to many people is watching their earnings and all the things that are going on with it. But the markets have had a lot of trepidation in areas such as small cap. I'll let the other guys talk about that, some emerging markets and others. But typically, historically, in the perspective in the long term, when things haven't performed well for a long time, it seems like they're never going to perform. And talking with Eugene Fama from Dimensional Funds years ago, he's a Nobel Prize winner. He said that, funds could be out of favor for 1,200 years. He smiled. Hover more likely 5 to 10. And he said, they will come back. They'll do well in their time again, but it seems frustratingly long when they don't. At any rate, with that, let me hop over to Mike's minute. Mike, what's going on in our world that we should be paying attention to in your world?
Thanks, Chris. Well, my world is something that I'll keep to myself, but in ours, one of the things that we're kind of doing behind the scenes right now is how can we better serve you with some of the new technology that Raymond James has available to us. And we've actually been able to find a way, and we've spoken about this in individual meetings when we've had the opportunity. We presented this idea at the forum as well, but we have the ability to start proactively rebalancing accounts that are due, meaning that they haven't been rebalanced in the last year. So it's something that we're looking at, something that we're going to be able to implement. And we'll always send out an email ahead of time if that is something that affects you, but it's something to keep us on schedule with what Zach is going to allude to a little bit later, the benefit of rebalancing and being timely about that. So it's something that we're looking at. And one of the reasons why we work with Raymond James is because of some of the technologies and some of their ability to innovate and create and listen to our feedback. It's wonderful to be able to provide that. So give us feedback on systems, things like that. If you see something on your client access and specifically, let us know. We can give some of that feedback to Raymond James as well. As far as taking a look at the markets and some different things like that, it's really fascinating to just see where interest rates and the expectation has gone. So after this last Federal Reserve meeting, which was 2 weeks ago, it's basically the idea of the Fed lowering rates this year has changed dramatically, and the expectation is 125 basis point lowering by the end of the year. This year started off with 3, 4 being the expectation. It's come down. Now it's fascinating because S&P 500 still right around all-time highs, regardless of that change at this point in the year. The one that's suffering is the Russell 2000. Zach will talk a little bit about the returns year to date. It's basically flat. Small cap companies, and by small cap, we mean smaller companies in general, have a very hard time financing projects, doing different things. Their bottom line takes a hit when the interest rates are high. And as a whole, the perception around them is that they're going to have a difficult time. Now, inside of that space, there's always going to be companies that have better free cash flow, things like that. That's who we trust our managers to choose on the growth side. And that'll really set them up for when, as a whole, that category begins to run. And someday it will again. So thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.
You bet. Awesome. Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate it. Why don't we go to Michael? How about yourself? Michael, what do we have going on that we should pay attention to?
Thanks, Chris. In light of 2 weeks ago today, we had our first kids camp where with some of our clients, we had introduced the concept of money to a lot of their children and grandchildren. So just wanted to provide some tips that you can use at home to start having that discussion with them. But two interesting statistics I saw in some reading. According to MarketWatch, only about 57% of U.S. adults are considered financially literate. I don't know how much or how they really came to that conclusion, but that was pretty shocking to me. And the second one, the average American actually threw away or wasted about, on average, $1,506 in 2023 due to a lack of financial knowledge or education, which was just fascinating to me. But starting with the obvious, you can start by giving them an allowance, allowing them to save or spend. You can allow them to succeed and fail in saving that money or saving up for what they want to buy. And it also can help you learn quickly if they're more of a saver or a spender. Second, you can teach them about budgeting. This is typically best in older kids. And if they fall a little bit short on their budget, you can teach them a little bit about debt and borrowing money, and you can loan them some money as well. Third, and I think this is one that's really important to me, to involve them at some point in either filing taxes or teaching them about taxes. If they have their own tax return or making their own money, you can file with them. Filing taxes tends to drive a lot of anxiety amongst people coming out of college. And not discussing taxes can cause a little bit of a shock when they start making a good income and seeing what actually comes out of their paycheck and what hits their bank account. And lastly, of course, introducing them to investing and the power of compounded growth. Some important things to look at, of course, 401ks and matches at work, and the effect of starting earlier and saving as soon as you can have a huge effect on the amount that you need to save a little bit later on in life. Of course, we work with a lot of our clients, kids and grandchildren, and we're more than happy to provide ideas or if you wanted some help in this area. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you as well. So a couple of things that go along with that is there were some dad jokes. I don't know if the kids told you that, but one of the particular ones that I know Ryan's daughter really enjoyed was, where do penguins put their money? In a snowbank. And then the beautiful thing about Sydney, she repeated that probably 14 times during the rest of it, and it was hilarious every single time. So that was a good one. I guess along that line too was, why did the old man fall into the well? Because he couldn't see that well. So let's hop over to Mike's minute. Mike, let's see what's going on. I'm sorry, Mike's minute. Ken's, let's go to Zach's facts. I got all these people I can go to. Let's go to Zach's facts. I'm going to go to that.
I love it. Just keeping us on our toes, Chris. I appreciate that. But as normal, we'll just kind of go through where markets are at and kind of piggybacking off of a few things Mike shared with us as well. But the Dow Jones Industrial Average is right around 4% positive on the year. The S&P 500 is actually right around 15%, which is a 10% increase since May 1st. So quarter two has been an incredible quarter and really an incredible year in one quarter. So the Russell 2000, the NASDAQ is up about 18%, which is about 13% positive since May 1st. And that's really due to a lot of those big technology companies that Chris mentioned doing extremely well to start the year. The Russell 2000, which is those smaller size companies that Mike mentioned, is flat for the year and actually temporarily down for the year. It's 0.2 down, but 2% increase since May 1st. International is right around 4%, and emerging markets is 6%, which is a 4% increase since May 1st as well. On the fixed income side of things, a little less than 5% now. You still might find a one-year treasury, or there's still some money market opportunities around 5% to explore for cash. But we saw the 5-year, 10-year actually lowering a little bit as far as the treasuries go. And one thing I wanted to touch on before handing it back to the team here is just the impact of rebalancing. You guys may be sick of us talking about it. We talk about it every single time, but it's really fascinating. And yesterday I had the opportunity, as I was going through some continuing education through Raymond James. Raymond James had a great piece on is time rebalancing. So on a daily, quarterly, monthly, annual basis, or drift, where if a certain asset class extends out too far, that an automatic rebalance occurs. And they found that time rebalancing is actually better, which we've utilized for a very, very long time. And one thing Mike and I did when we first joined the team in 2018 was did a massive study on the actual true impact of rebalancing on a portfolio. And just out of curiosity, since it was top of mind yesterday, kind of went back through those and actually found a piece from Morningstar comparing daily rebalancing, monthly rebalancing, quarterly, annual, drift, and then actually buy and hold as well. And it was just fascinating to see the results. I'll spare you a lot of the details, but really annual rebalancing and any rebalancing just in general is better than no rebalancing. And the main reason is reduction of risk. When we have those big market corrections like the early 2000s, 2008, 2009, 2020, 2022, that's where you really want to have rebalancing. But what was really interesting is that actually return increased when you went far enough out as well. Buy and hold generally had a better return through 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year. But when you extend it out past a full market cycle, example, like a retirement scenario, 20, 30 years, and production of income, annual rebalancing actually had a better return as well. So it's just great to see one of our evergreen pieces, and that's why it's one of our evergreen pieces, is that it works very, very well over the long term. Chris, I'll pass it back to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Zach. Zach told me a joke recently. It was kind of interesting because he's a big runner. And he was asking me, hey, Chris, what kind of shoes do frogs wear? I don't know, Zach, what are they? He said open-toed. Ken, let's bring it to you.
That's pretty good. That was pretty funny. And I know Chris and I were talking about the Olympic trials recently. And so why was the Olympian not able to listen to music? Because she broke the record. There you go. So that's the dad joke. Patty, that one's for you. I know that you emailed us recently, so thank you for that. In the world of financial planning, there are hundreds of topics to talk about, really. And so how do we ferret this down to like 2 or 3 that's really important? There's inflation to talk about, vehicles, long-term care, and these are all super important when it pertains to you. One of the things that our firm is built on is retirement. And so we are here to help you prepare for retirement, retire, and then also thrive in retirement. And what we're seeing right now is more and more desire to retire earlier than what used to be a normal or standard retirement date of, say, 65, 66. We're starting to see 55. We're starting to see 56, 57. And so that requires a whole different set of planning, because we need access to money before the traditional methods of 401ks and IRAs are available to us, typically at 59.5, which I'll just call it 60. So we have to start utilizing 55 and older rules in 401k plans. We have to start preparing and setting a client's money up for the idea of using it before 59.5, which typically isn't retirement accounts at that point in time. So there's a whole set of different planning skills that go into that, and we're seeing more and more of that. So if you know somebody that wants to retire earlier and they're unsure of if it's possible or can they, that would be a really nice conversation to have if you come across someone like that. So if that's your scenario, we're obviously helping you out with that, of course. And if you're already retired, you already know that we helped you out with that. So what I find really interesting, and that also pairs well with health insurance planning, because even if we retire at 62, 63, we still need to have health insurance before 65, which is Medicare, when Medicare kicks in. And it has a lot to do with the income we have, which has a lot to do with the premiums we pay for health insurance. So again, we have a really good handle on this. We have some wonderful partners that we work with and help you out with that. What I also find interesting as we get further down the road of retirement, sometimes the idea of family wealth distribution or family wealth planning comes up. And it's been more of a conversation, because I just read an article in Financial Planning Magazine recently that says 48% of people out there plan on leaving an inheritance. So half of people want to leave an inheritance. Guess how many people have actually talked to their children or grandchildren about their plan? Only 12%. And so that just tells me that there's probably an open forum that we could have that tells us that we should be having these conversations more and more and more. So if it's anywhere in your mind or you thought about it before, let's have the conversation in a meeting coming up, because I think that, all of us have the skills and the experience to help you out with some of the ideas behind that, and how to kind of how to execute that properly, if you will, is what I'm trying to say there. So yeah. So with that being said, Chris, I'll pass it back to you.
I like what Ken's thoughts. The family wealth distribution planning that we've offered and do offer and our team offers has really been a center of our conversations. You know, obviously working with your children and grandchildren was a wonderful effect. We got a couple of thank you cards that were just heart melting. They were phenomenal. We actually have a book too. This is a really, really high in demand, rare book. I just wanted to show you that we passed out to some of your kids as well. This is a highly sought after. I just want to show it to you. It is, yes, it is Samantha Doty's 3rd grade book called Dealing with Money. It's a really rare, you could get it autographed, I'm just saying, but if you have one of these, I would keep it. It's a super collector's item. So people got that at the program as well, which was quite fun. But the family wealth distribution planning, going from children, you know, all the way up to ourselves and even sometimes our parents, has been a big part of where should we take money efficiently. So a couple of things that we look at that are really, really been big in planning lately, just as we go through, is Roth conversion planning from the age of retirement to our required minimum distribution age, QCD planning, how much might we give and how much might we leave in 401ks. Tax minimization is a big part of almost all of it, especially in giving strategies as well. I think that we've seen that sequence of returns has also been a very high factor. These are things we all take care of for you right now. We don't always tell you all the detail. But when I'm looking at these, there's some people who come in who save some great money who you look at and go, oh, they must be well set. But when it comes to planning, nobody's doing it. People will mention it. I just saw, and I got this from somebody down the road, a flyer, because they sent it to me. I guess I'm apparently getting near retirement age, which is 4 things you need to do before retirement. I'm like, if it was that easy, if there were only 4 things, everybody would do it. But I love that little hook. Oh, come on and have a dinner with us. And we're going to tell you 4 things you really need to do. Make sure you saved enough, because right now the study shows that just done, 1 in 5 workers nearing retirement is actually on track, with the median savings for a 55-year-old is $50,000. So that's not the people that we see. There's not a whole lot we can do. But for those who have been serious about saving, we can. I just wanted to give you some of those statistics of going with Ken, because the family wealth distribution planning and who should take what, where, and what would be the most tax efficient has really been a lot of the conversation. And it can actually make a big difference in your overall plan. So I wanted to say that there's some very, very, very strong conversations going on, things we've been talking with you about forever, but most people have no idea. They thought it's about investments and returns. Those are interesting. We don't know what those will be in the future. Planning we can do, and structure we can do. And we know generally what taxes will be and how we can minimize them. So really interesting, but it's kind of a topic that's been very strong lately. So let me go to
Chris, before
sorry, Ken. No, sorry, Ken.
Before you transition, can you please talk about fixed indexed annuities, please? I've heard it 3 times actually from some clients that know people, like family members, and markets are all-time highs right now. You can never lose money. Can you just touch on that a little bit to give our listeners just a little piece on that?
Sure, I will. So for myself, I can tell when things are going a little bit in a different direction, because I've gotten over the weekend 4 or 5 solicitations about joining some insurance company with an equity index annuity because the commission is so high. That's not for you. That's for the person who would sell it. By the way, they don't disclose it to you. They sell it to you and often move on, and they don't tell you there's a 10 or 12 or 14-year scale on it. And also there's no inflation rider based on it as well. Very interestingly. So one of these ideas was a 7% guaranteed income, but the cost of it was a 3.5% cost. Well, wait a minute, 7% guarantee, isn't that like a 3.5% guarantee? Right now you can get money market for 5 point something. So you look at these equations, and there's a lot of fancy ways people are trying to put these together. They lock you in for a very long time. So I'm going to say this: when you find somebody who says this is too good to be true, you'll never lose money, it'll only go up, be very careful. They're talking about an income stream. It is not your capital. It's not often an efficient way of looking at things. Now, if you have one, it's not the end of the world. Don't make sure, I would say one thing, make sure it's not everything you have. If you did consider one, if you have one, make sure it's a small one. Maybe it's a part of the equation. But the equity indexes are often a tough one because they are a commission-based item that pay the advisor or the salesperson. You hear the difference. They pay the salesperson. It's a sale way more than one might expect. If it's used as a tool properly in a small piece of a portfolio, it could be a possible option. Rarely do we find that works. And I'm going to say it's coming out more and more and more and more. Well, why don't I just fix it at an 8% return and then never worry about it? Because there's more to the story. You've heard, remember the rest of the story? That exists as well. So I'm going to say exercise caution with your friends, your parents, anybody who's out there when they hear about this. Run it past us. We'll give you a free diagnostic of it. You don't have to worry about, we're not going to dissuade you if it's a great thing that you really need and part of what you're doing. But, to your friends as well, when you hear about this, say, hey, listen, my advisors will give you a quick conversation about this and just give them the information that they need. Because I really dislike seeing somebody come in and have no idea what they purchased and it's not doing anything that they were promised that it did. So that is a huge part, Ken, the perspective as we go with it. This is not the first rodeo. I've seen it happen many, many times. This will probably be the third or fourth iteration in the last 15 or 20 years where I've seen this happen. It's kind of like when gold commercials say, come in and sell all your gold, right? It's probably not the time to be doing that. They're doing that because they're trying to make a pretty significant profit. So we're seeing that right now. You're going to start to see them advertise. You're seeing friends talking about it. It's too good to be true. It probably is. So be careful with anything to do with indexed annuities or anything where they guarantee you some sort of return for income in retirement. Just take a look at what that really is behind it. Thank you, Ken. It's a good one to bring up. How about Ashley? What should we be paying attention to as well?
Thank you, Chris. Today, I just wanted to bring a little bit of light. You may have already seen your Spring into Summer newsletter that should have been delivered to your mailbox a few weeks ago. Towards the end of the newsletter, we are going to have a contest this year that involves hopefully one of your photos. So hopefully you can all see my screen here. This is a snapshot of that newsletter piece. Again, a calendar contest. You all have received our 2024 calendar last year. Hopefully you're enjoying using that. This year, we'd love to feature a few of our clients' photos in that calendar. So again, for our 2025 calendar, we anticipate and encourage you to send us your photos that you have taken throughout the year. We are looking to focus on nature or seasonal photos. Please include a small description of that photo that you do email us. Again, please send an email to us at gentian@raymondjames.com. I'd love to know when you took it, why you took it, maybe where you were. If it is somewhere unique, please share that information or any story behind that photo also. And again, we'd love for you to send us your photos so you can see them in our 2025 Gentian calendar. So again, I encourage you to send those photos. We do or would like those photos by September the 1st. So please get those photos into our Gentian email, or you can send, of course, an email to myself or any team member, and we'll make sure that it gets to the right person. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing your photos.
Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate that. Well, I've got about a minute and a half left here or so. So how about Angie? What should we be paying attention to here going on at Gentian over there? I know there's a lot going on, a lot we've just done, but what should we be paying attention to now?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So Ashley covered the photos. That's a great opportunity. I know a lot of you send us your photos when you're on vacation or if you're just on your walks. And there are some just beautiful images that we would love to share with everyone. So send us those photos and we'll make sure that they get over to Ashley. Believe it or not, the 4th of July is next week already. I know some communities are celebrating already this weekend. So just keep in mind that next week, Wednesday, which is July 3rd, the markets and our office will be closed at noon. And then on Thursday, July 4th, again, the markets and our office will be closed for the full day, and normal business hours will resume on Friday. Today, we are having our June birthday lunch. So keep an eye out for those postcards that come. We would love to celebrate your birthday with you and come and enjoy lunch with the team. Our next birthday lunch in July will be Wednesday, July 24th. So again, watch for that postcard. Feel free to join us. I know it's a really busy time of year. If you're unable to make your actual birthday lunch, we'd love to have you the following month so that we get to celebrate you. Gathering on the Green is coming up again. Believe it or not, summer is in full swing. So Saturday, July 13th, Gentian will be hosting once again the VIP area. And there will be 2 bands, the Beatles, not really the Beatles, obviously, and the Stones, not really the Stones, obviously, but they're going to have a musical showdown. So it's going to be great. A few of us looked up their websites and they just sound amazing. It's going to be a really great time. So we are in the last days to RSVP for that, but we would love to have you join. Feel free to bring a guest, but we do ask if that you are going to bring a guest that you RSVP with their name, and just let us know in advance so we can plan appropriately. Again, that's going to be July 13th, right here at the Rotary Park. And then Sunday, July 14th, this is one of our team's favorite days, which is the Rise and Shine concert in the park, same place, Rotary Park. That's going to start at 11. And we're going to have a brunch style refreshments, community-based worship. Bring yourself, bring your family, bring your kids, bring your grandkids, bring your neighbors, bring your church. We would love to see you guys. It's a really amazing, great way to spend a Sunday just being all together and having some great food, being outside and listening to some great music. So also on Monday, September 9th is our annual Shred Day. So save the date. More information will follow, but that is going to be again Monday, September 9th. So put that in your calendar. And that is what I have now. Everyone have a safe and happy 4th of July. Enjoy your family, enjoy the summer weather, and we will see you all at Gathering on the Green.
So in summary, there's an awful lot that you should pay attention to. We've got a lot going on. And that's not to mention a few things we have coming up as well, which are going to be in our Shred event. There's a bunch of fun things to come to in our, obviously, your birthday lunch. So we appreciate those as well. So in summary of the whole program today, really wanted to take a look. Be careful of annuities. Make sure you look at family wealth distribution planning in the bigger picture. Generation X is just about to receive the largest inheritance of, I think it's $73 trillion ever, which is already coming from the greatest generation to the boomers, then to X. And so you'll see that transition again. Many people aren't prepared for it. A lot of people haven't talked about it, as Ken said. I would say proceed with caution. I got my caution socks on, which basically proceed with caution because I don't know if you've heard about it, there's a presidential election coming up. I don't know if you've heard about that at all. I think the president's presently taking a week off to prepare for the debate coming up this weekend, which most of my clients so far have said, I'll just watch it for comedic, comedy relief. Anyway, they say that was quite funny. Watch out for more dad jokes. There's plenty of those, and the penguin joke is a good one to use. I'm going to say that watch out for microplastics. That comes from our, Michelle Norris in her conversation that we had just about a week or two ago as well. But most importantly, thank you for your introductions, your trust in us, and being one of our teammates that we get to serve, our clients we get to serve, I should say. Our teammates here really take that seriously. And we just received another award from Abundant or Advisor Hub. We're one of the top 250 practices advisors to watch under $1 billion, which is outstanding. And it's really because of you. It's because of your trust in us. It's because of those you've introduced to us. We're continue to grow wonderfully, which is great. And you'll see our team continue to grow. And we're always concerned with service. The teammates here are really, really wrapped with their attention on how we can give you better and better service. So thank you once again. Congratulations to you on another award. And again, I say that to you on this webinar because it's a we thing. It's under my name, but I understand, and you should understand it's a we thing. When you see that, look at it as our practice as Gentian. So I appreciate all that for you. And thank you. I say from our galactic headquarters here, maybe that's a little too small, maybe our universal headquarters. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a better statement, but I got all that from a little business called Epic just outside of Madison, which I said galactic headquarters. So I did take that line from them. But from Mac One right here in Wisconsin, thank you so much for your trust in us. Thank you from the team for allowing us to serve you as well. We look forward to seeing you more and more. We love getting together with you. We look forward to you having a great couple of weeks. We'll talk to you again then if we don't see you today at the birthday club. And some of you, it's funny, you come in for your appointment, say, all right, well, we'll see you tomorrow. So people come back sometimes 2 days in a row. Wow. Thank you very much for that. With that, have a great rest of your week or two, and we'll keep you posted again in another couple of weeks on our bi-weekly webinar. Thank you again. Have a great week.